Do you have a theory about how that relates to, like, when you say, this is something that Jaguar has said before that really like stuck in my mind, whenever you're gonna hold space for feminine energy to happen and for an exchange about feminine energy to happen, when you bring it up, the feminine, which exists in everyone, pain will be there.
Yeah.
Do you mean, because I totally agree, of course, but like, do you mean pain will be there because the feminine is intrinsically bound with pain, or because there's just so much wounding and trauma?
So much wounding and trauma. Yeah.
Can you talk more about
Yeah.
this?
So, I mean, I'm so grateful for you sharing all your stories, and to me, this artwork is so important and so sacred and so, pivotal. And I feel like this kind of art needs to be, everywhere, visible everywhere, because we all need it. You know, this is, I don't know how you guys feel when you see this artwork, but for me it's like, it has so much symbology in it, it has so much truth in it about the processes of the feminine for all of us collectively, you know? You've told us your story and it's beautiful, and yet your story is like a kind of one story of so many women's stories. I think probably almost everybody can relate to at least one of those pictures, you know, imagine. And yeah, in my experience with women, I feel like all the feminine topics, unless we have like a really deep soul call, some kind of a really deep knowing, like this is my path, this is what I need to do. My experience has been there's, not only for women, but also for men, like a lot of fear around anything that goes a little bit deeper, you know, anything that touches us in areas that have been shamed or tabooed or wounded or trauma, and it's completely understandable, because of course if there's so much pain there, we need to have the resources and the tools how we can deal with the pain, you know. So that's why I find it so beautiful that you brought up the Hashimoto, the disease, because that's also connected to pain. And I feel like in a way pain is one of these things that often we don't really know how to deal with. You know, there seems to be only two ways to deal with it. One of them is either you ignore it and you kind of pretend it doesn't exist, or you just get along, or you're like really hard and tough and you just
stoic.
Yeah. Or we wallow in it.
Yeah.
Like we're like, oh my god, everything's so bad and I'm so poor, and it's like, but that also eats us up. But actually, I feel like this whole lineage of understanding that there's these cycles of life, and that our bodies are kind of walking stories, and that our body is, but our body is sacred.
Yeah.
Huh?
Walking is a lovely way to put
it. You know, that like the body is like all the time speaking to me, like woven out of and the body isn't just a story of my own life, but it's a story of my ancestors' life, of everybody who came before me, but then also my environment. Because of course, like if I grow up in Ireland, I have a different experience than growing up in Africa or New Zealand or Berlin, you know. So like my body was completely different living in Berlin than now living in New Zealand. Like my body behaves 100% differently. And yeah, so I, you know, the way I feel about this pain topic of the feminine is that in my experience working with women and teaching around those topics, is that very, very few women at this time, very few of us are able to go to these kind of places so easily, because there's so much pain happening at so many different levels, and no one's ever taught us how to be with that pain. And then what happens? So either we get overwhelmed by that pain, or what is that pain going to do? Who's going to help us with that pain? Yes, I think it's like it's something very delicate in a way, because you can't force that kind of process to happen really quickly. And at the same time, and I feel that where we have our deepest wound, we also have our deepest power. And, you know, that pain of the feminine, in a way, expresses itself in really different ways in each and every one of us. And each one of us, like you know, you've brought out these paintings and this medicine, actually, from all these processes. And yeah, but like the whole thing, my woman's school, you know, the way I see the woman's school is like a work of art in a way. Like when I create the courses of a woman's school, which have been developing now for years and years and years, I go into these really huge creative processes, and every one of those courses involves everything, you know, it's like, and it also involves really deep understanding of this particular lesson may bring up this pain, because every learning journey of the feminine will touch us. I don't think it's a superficial